Welcome to Story Time in Seacliff. And how lucky are we to have our amazing assistant Molly back with us. Yes, and we're going to finish off the Thanksgiving weekend with a fabulous story. Do we have our clue, Ma? Yes. Well, that's interesting. Usually we think of, the turkey like Oberon has, or the turkey over there. This looks a little different. Let's find out why.
It's baked.
It's baked. It's already right. Well, but that's the point. It's not. We're going to find out about it. It's a surprise.
It's a surprise.
Yep. All right, so here we go. Thanksgiving at the Tapletons was always a big day. Thanksgiving at the Tapletons meant, of course, the Tapleton family. Mr. Tapleton and Mrs. Tapleton and Jenny Tapleton and James Tapleton and Grandma and Grandpa Tapleton, Aunt Hedda and Uncle Fritz, and most certainly, of course, the turkey and the trimmings. It was still dark when Mrs. Tapleton lit the oven and took the big turkey out of the refrigerator. Just then, someone knocked at the door. It was Mike, the milkman. "Good morning, Mrs. Tapleton. I thought you might like some eggnog for the holidays." As Mrs. Tapleton reached for the eggnog, the turkey slipped from under her arm. Now, on a warmer day, this might not have been a problem, but this Thanksgiving day was quite cold, and the step was covered with ice. Before she or Mike could even think, the turkey had slithered into the yard. "Get it!" shouted Mrs. Tapleton. Mike reached out, but the turkey skidded past him, through the gate, into the street. "Hurry, hurry!" screamed Mrs. Tapleton. "Stop that turkey!" The milkman chased the turkey, and Mrs. Tapleton chased the milkman, and the turkey slid down the hill into the pond. Plop! Splash! It bubbled out of sight. When Mr. Tapleton came down to breakfast, he took a long sniff. "I don't smell turkey," he said to his wife. "Of course you don't smell turkey," she replied. "You have a cold." "I don't have a cold," he insisted. Mrs. Tapleton quickly took some pepper and sprinkled it around. Her husband sneezed. "Achoo! See," she said, "you do have a cold." After breakfast, Mr. Tapleton put on his coat and his scarf and his hat and his gloves. "I'm going to the bakery to buy some pie." Mrs. Tapleton handed him his boots. "Wear these," she said. "I know for a fact it is quite slippery out there." Well, Sim's bakery was so crowded when he got there that the line reached out onto the sidewalk. Mr. Tapleton hated to wait on long lines, so he went across the street to the diner and he ordered a cup of coffee. By the time he got back, the long line was gone, and so were the pies, all the pies. No pumpkin, no apple, no rhubarb, nothing. Mr. Tapleton was afraid to go home with nothing. "2 boxes tied up with a piece of string, please." Mrs. Sims stared at him. "You mean 2 empty boxes?" "That's right." My, they feel light," remarked Mrs. Tapleton when he got home. "Certainly they are light. You know Mrs. Sims prides herself on how light her pies are," said Mr. Tapleton. "Oh, no."
They're not pies.
No, because we know it is
Empty.
exactly. Well, Mrs. Tapleton set the table and she called to her son. "James, you may want to make the salad. The lettuce is in the crisper and there are carrots and radishes too." Uh-oh, he's thinking of something else. James's face grew pale. Just yesterday he had emptied the crisper and he had fed all of the vegetables to the rabbits in Mr. Butterworth's class. How could he tell his mother? He couldn't. So he covered the empty salad bowl with aluminum foil and put it back in the refrigerator. Oh no. When the others went to pick up the relatives at the train station, Jenny stayed behind to mash the potatoes. That was always her job and she loved it. This year she thought, I'm going to use the blender. Yes, I will. Just as Jenny flicked on the switch of the blender, the phone rang and it was her best friend, Nora. Oh, if there was one thing that Jenny loved to do better than mash potatoes was to talk to her friend, Nora. They talked and they talked and they talked. Well, she might still be talking today, had not a wet glop of potato hit her on the face. Sure enough, she reached up. Something hit the back of her head too. She turned to see what it was. Splat! Oh no, another glump hit her in the face. It was the potatoes. The blender was going wild. Mashed potatoes were everywhere. Without even saying goodbye to Nora, Jenny hung up the phone and scrubbed her face and quickly wiped the mashed potatoes from nearly everything in the kitchen. She finished just as the others came back from the train. Uncle Fritz patted his stomach. I'm hungry, he said. Grandfather Tapleton said, I'm as hungry as an elephant. Everyone sat down at the table. It was the Tapletons' tradition that grandmother would say a Thanksgiving prayer. As soon as the turkey's ready, she smiled. I'm as hungry as 2 elephants, said grandfather. Mr. Tapleton went to the oven. I'll carve the turkey now. He opened the oven door and, surprise, the turkey is gone. Mr. Tapleton searched on the table, under the table, in every kitchen cabinet. He looked in the sink and in the broom closet. I can't find the turkey anywhere. You know where the turkey is? In the pond. Mrs. Tapleton took a deep breath and she told them how that beautiful turkey had slipped out the door, down the steps, through the gate, onto the street, plop, plop, into the pond. So much for the turkey, said Uncle Fritz, and his stomach rumbled a little bit louder. Never mind, said Aunt Hedda. Oh, she was so sweet. We'll fill up on the trimmings. I'll get the salad, Jenny announced. Then Grandma can say the prayer. Jenny set the bowl on the table and peeled off the aluminum foil. Everyone stared. There was nothing there. I fed the rabbits at school, confessed James. Uncle Fritz looked downright gloomy. So much for the salad, and his stomach rumbled again. I'm as hungry as 3 elephants, Grandpa sighed. Kenny jumped up. We'll get the mashed potatoes. He brought the pot from the kitchen and he lifted the lid. I was on the phone, Jenny said, and the blender went wild. So much for the potatoes. Uncle Fritz's stomach rumbled even louder. I'm as hungry as 4 elephants, Grandpa declared. The pies, cried Mrs. Tapleton. We'll have the pies. I'll say grace as soon as we have the pie, said Grandma. Mrs. Tapleton brought in the boxes, set them down, untied the string. You brought home 2 empty boxes? She glared at Mr. Tapleton, who covered his ears. 4 elephants. 5 elephants. I'm sorry, you're right. 5 elephants, groaned Grandfather. The dining room was very quiet. Everyone looked down at the empty table. Uncle Fritz muttered something, but it couldn't be heard because his stomach was rumbling so loudly. A tear rolled down Jenny's cheek. No Thanksgiving dinner, she sniffled. Oh, nothing to say a prayer for, sighed James. Grandma smiled. Of course there's something. There's more to Thanksgiving than a turkey and trimmings. And just then, Grandma Templeton asked everyone to bow their heads and hold their hands around the dining room table. And this is the Thanksgiving prayer. She said, "Turkeys come and turkeys go, and trimmings can be lost, we know. But we're together, that's what matters, not what's served upon the platters. Amen." That was a wonderful prayer, said Aunt Hedda. And Mrs. Stapleton jumped up and said, "We have liverwurst and cheese in the fridge. I'll help fix the sandwiches," offered Mr. Stapleton. Jenny wiped her tear away and said, "I'll get the pickles." James laughed and said, "I'll open a jar of applesauce for dessert." And so the Stapletons had their Thanksgiving dinner after all. Uncle Fritz's stomach stopped rumbling. Grandfather Stapleton ate enough liverwurst to feed 6 elephants. In fact, everyone had plenty to eat, but most of all, they had each other. Lovely, lovely story, right, Molly?
Yeah.
Now we're going to sing a birthday song to a lovely, lovely boy that comes to the story hour outside on the front lawn of the library. His name is Jackson. Yes, Jackson. And his brother Miles and his mom and dad, I'm sure, had a wonderful birthday cake a few days ago. But today we're going to sing to Jackson, right? Do you want to do the names?
Yeah.
Okay, Vanilla.
Scarlett, Henry, Rocky, Joseph, Harry, Martha,
Graham.
Audrey, Lila, Hudson, Marlo,
Maxine.
Lucy, Frida,
Okay, those are all vanilla. What about chocolate?
Molly, Alice, Ben, B.
It's
Riley, Tate, Sophia, India, Eliza, Peggy, and Angelica.
And I think maybe, did we forget somebody else up here? Do we do James and Anna?
No.
Okay, James and Anna too.
James and it.
All right, that's it. I'm going to count. All right, shall we count? 13 for
Noah.
13. Is it even?
Yep.
It's even. Oh, Jackson's got a perfectly even balanced cake. Half vanilla and half chocolate. All right, thank you. We're going to sing now. Everybody, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jackson. Happy birthday to you. Yay, lovely, very good. Molly, do you by any chance have some clues or a clue for us? Oh, whoa, look at this. What do you think it is? I think it might be a whale and a
Snail.
Whoa, okay. Oberon, what do you think about that? Yeah, Molly has presented us with 2 very interesting clues. Okay, thank you, cameraman Dan, and thank you, wonderful Molly. Thank you so very, very much. And remember, we love you all very, very much.